Dr. Noon, a scientist stationed on a space station, is conducting research to develop artificial hearts. She uses zero-gravity conditions to enhance cell growth. For the past 3 years, she has lived in space, maintaining daily hologram conversations with her husband, Nan, and their dog, Harvey. After years of dedication, she finally achieves success and prepares to return to Earth in 10 days. Tragically, an accident during her return leads to her death. Her body is preserved for 100 days, after which a Buddhist funeral is planned. Nan is devastated. 2 months have passed, but he struggles to cope with her loss. His mind often drifts to memories of their first meeting. Noon, a medical student, had visited an architecture faculty exhibition where Nan, a student at the time, showcased his designs. His professors dismissed his concept of creating traditional, homey designs for space habitats, but Noon found his ideas fascinating. She praised his work, and the two bonded, sparking the beginning of their relationship. Haunted by grief, Nan frequently replays memories of their time together. One night, he recalls their dog Harvey being cloned. This sparks an idea: what if Noon could be cloned too? He approaches their friend, Dr. V, who runs an animal cloning lab, and pleads for her help. Initially, V refuses, emphasizing that cloning humans is unethical. However, Nan persuades her by arguing that Noon's groundbreaking work with artificial hearts could greatly benefit humanity. V eventually agrees, recalling how Noon had once inspired her to follow her own dreams. To proceed, they need Noon's brain. Nan visits her family to seek their permission, but they refuse. They are religious and believe Noon is at peace and should not be disturbed. This frustrates Nan, who accuses them of letting faith cloud their judgment. Determined, he sneaks into the hospital by pulling the fire alarm during an evacuation. Heartbroken, Nan finds Noon's body and is overcome with emotion as he recalls their last conversation on Earth, where she had promised to return to him no matter what. Desperate, he removes her head and takes it to V. Though deeply unsettled, V agrees to move forward, unable to bear seeing Nan in such state. The first step in the cloning process involves manually verifying anomalies detected by the AI in Noon's preserved brain data. Everything seems to be progressing smoothly until they uncover something shocking. Nan is devastated and returns home, only to be arrested for tampering with Noon's body. Noon's father demands her remains back for cremation, but Nan refuses. As a result, he is sentenced to 3 years in prison. Upon his release, a man visits him and introduces himself as Noon. In a flashback, the truth unfolds. At 19, Noon expressed her desire to transition into a man. Her sister was the only one who supported her. Her mother stopped speaking to her, and her father pressured her emotionally to remain a girl. Feeling cornered, Noon gave in but was deeply unhappy. She avoided relationships, and her sister was surprised when she agreed to marry Nan. Noon later revealed she only married to escape her controlling household. Seeing this memory breaks Nan's heart, but V reassures him not to doubt Noon's love. The memory continues, and Noon explains further. Nan became her true home because he loved and understood her for who she was. With him, she felt safe and free to be herself. Nan recalled their first meeting, where Noon recognized his need to design homes for lonely people. Spotting police through his home's CCTV, he quickly called V, urging her to clone Noon as Noon truly wanted. He loves her and wants her to live the life she dreamed of. In the present, Noon's clone hugs Nan and asks if he can use Nan as his new name. Nan agrees, but his joy is bittersweet when Noon shares that the International Space Agency, ISA, has offered him a spot on a permanent lunar colonization program in exchange for creating a new identity. Noon thanks Nan for helping him become his true self and promises they'll stay in touch. Their farewell is emotional but filled with hope, as Nan is happy for Noon's new beginning. 5 years later, Nan is jogging with V when they see an interview of Noon now as Dr. Nan, who has advanced in organ printing. He is asked if he misses home. He quotes Nan, saying, "Home is where there is love and understanding." V and Nan wonder who might be in Noon's life now, but there's a lingering sadness about how the world still struggles to accept those who are different. It's clear they're still in touch with Noon, as Noon has printed a new arm for V. Meanwhile, at the space station, Noon prints a heart and gazes at Earth with a smile. On his desk, there's a photo of Harvey, Nan, and the space home design that started it all. Jess Hathahill is the CEO of Paradise X, a company that makes lifelike adult robots in a fantasy Miami-like city called Gondolore. She gifts one of the robots to a company chairman, but when the board refuses to invest due to moral concerns, he doesn't defend her. In an interview, Jess shares her story. She was a child prodigy, finishing high school at 12 and becoming the youngest graduate of MTT with 2 degrees. Her mother was a sex worker who likely died from an STD. It just explains that her company operates ethically. She doesn't take jobs from sex workers but hires them with good pay and benefits to train the robots and take on other roles. However, Jess faces big challenges. Her biggest opponent is Gamina, the Minister of Arts and Modern Lifestyles Control. Adding to her struggles, she hasn't secured any investors yet. Jess joins a public debate with Gamina, and at first, things go in her favor. Customers praise her robots for helping people struggling with addiction or shame about their preferences. Jess argues that her robots give people freedom and can reduce violence. Gamina fights back with strong points, saying the robots are unethical and insult women. She warns that using robots this way could encourage violent behavior that might transfer to real people. Later that night, Jess's boyfriend, Whit, volunteers to test a new robot model. Whit gets carried away and accidentally slaps the robot. Instead of stopping him, the robot reacts as if it enjoys the slap and encourages him to continue. Whit becomes more violent, repeatedly slapping the robot. Meanwhile, Jess is preparing to launch the Paradise X Pleasure Oasis, a hangout space for her customers. The event is disrupted by a large, violent protest. Amid the chaos, Jess is flooded with childhood memories. That night, she dreams of her body falling apart, just like one of her robots. Jess refuses to give up and meets with officials and businessmen, offering them robots as gifts in hopes of getting a business license. One official shows interest but demands inappropriate favors. Despite humiliating her, he denies her the license. That same night, Whit leaves her. A flashback shows young Jess living in a shabby room where her mother brought clients. One time, Jess noticed a boy watching from a distance. In the present, Whit gives a shocking interview, accusing Jess of secretly installing hidden cameras in her robots. His claims cause a nationwide scandal. Politicians and businessmen who received her robots panic and flood her with calls. Jess issues a public statement denying the allegations. Jess turns to the politicians for help. Fearing she has compromising footage of them, the government approves her robots with new safety measures. Jess also secures an investor and finally obtains her business license. Later, Jess celebrates with Whit, who reveals his betrayal was a plan to scare officials into supporting her. A flashback reveals Whit was the boy from Jess's childhood. While Jess dreamed of escaping Gamalor, Whit wanted to be a star and vowed to protect her. In the present, their celebration becomes romantic. However, during an intimate moment, Whit accidentally slaps Jess. Horrified, he apologizes repeatedly, an hour before the Paradise X Pleasure Oasis launch. Jess hides the bruise with makeup. She sees a vision of her late mother, who expresses pride in Jess for helping others through her work. A haunting flashback reveals Jess's mother once allowed a client to exploit her as a child. On her deathbed, her mother apologized and told Jess to leave Gamalor. Back in the present, Jess promises her imaginary mother she will keep working to help others. At the launch, Jess introduces customizable robots through an app that lets users explore their desires without shame. However, users exploit the app to create bizarre modifications. One tries to lower a robot's age but is blocked from going below 18. 2 months later, public outrage forces the court to shut down Jess's business. She is sentenced to 3 years in prison, and her robots are banned. After her release, Jess starts a new company selling made robots that look entirely non-human. The company's commercial promises the robots can handle any task the customer desires. Anik, a coder-turned-monk, and his robot companion, Ibuddha, struggled across the road in a world dominated by AI. A system called Ultra, created by Neo, allows users to earn merit points for good deeds and exchange them for rewards. However, Ultra cannot understand true motives, leading people to do good deeds solely for points, sometimes even forcing others to achieve their goals. Anik despises Ultra for corrupting moral values. After clashing with an aggressive user, Ibuddha gets damaged, but Anik's old friend Adam helps him out. Adam, who also dislikes Ultra, created a childcare AI by replicating parents' brainwaves. Anik realizes that Ultra is beneficial for teaching Buddhist lessons but harmful as it encourages instant rewards. He files a complaint about Ultra's inability to distinguish right from wrong, but the system begins secretly eavesdropping on users to adapt. Anik encounters the bully again, who gets angry when his friend tries to give leftover offerings to Anik. Ibuddha defends Anak by repeating his criticism of Ultra and Buddhist teachings, prompting Anak to contact Ultra's customer service. Surprisingly, they respond and invite him to meet Neo. Neo reveals that his parents, due to religious fanaticism, donated all their belongings to corrupt monks and fell into debt, ultimately leading to their suicide. Neo created Ultra to eliminate reliance on monks and provide real-life rewards. He wants to collaborate with monks to maintain temples. But Anak distrusts him and declines. Anak explains to Adam why he became a monk. He once lied to his mother and failed to fulfill her dying wish for him to be ordained. After her death, Anak became deeply disappointed in himself and attempted suicide but was comforted by an abbot. Anak now realizes that only humans, not Ultra, can truly provide comfort. Inspired by Adam and Ibuddha, Anak comes up with the idea of creating Ibuddha. Anak and Adam developed the AI assistant Ibuddha by replicating an abbot's brainwaves, enabling the AI to master Buddhist teachings, consider ethical dilemmas, and comfort users. During the launch, Anak describes Ibuddha as a guide to help people avoid mistakes. Initially, Ibuddha succeeds, while Ultra faces scandal as users are caught forcing homeless people to perform good deeds to earn merit points worth 100,000 baht. However, Ibuddha soon faces its own scandal. The AI is accused of harassing young girls, stemming from a past misdeed by the abbot 40 years ago, which was inadvertently included in the AI's training. The abbot admits his past wrongdoing and chooses to apologize to the victims, emphasizing that even monks are human and prone to mistakes. Eventually, Ibuddha is shut down. Anak takes the failure hard, believing he overlooked human flaws. He parts ways with Ibuddha, resigns as a monk, and returns to the city. There, he sees a child picking up trash just to earn merit points. A new billboard introduces Neo's latest product, Super Ultra. In the near future, it has been raining non-stop for 2 years, causing natural disasters everywhere. The rich call it a blessing, while the poor suffer in flooded areas, constantly wearing raincoats. The Neo Klong Toi district is on the verge of disappearing. The rich have evacuated, while the poor struggle with endless floods. Pang and Mook, two elementary school girls living in a small, close-knit community, run along flooded paths to get home. The world faces a new strain of dengue fever, threatening children under the age of 10. Mook, who now lives with Pang's poor family after losing her own, narrowly avoids being bitten by a mosquito. Pang's mother, a trash collector, has recently lost her job to robots. During dinner, news of the Aquavac vaccine, a cure for all diseases but with the side effect of growing chin tentacles, spreads panic among the people. The Prime Minister promises to find a better solution, but the poor know they won't be prioritized even if the vaccine is available. Pang laments how adults have destroyed the world. Learning about a singing competition with a 1 million baht prize, Mook encourages Pang to join. Pang's stellar performance moves people as she shares her wish to buy a house and the vaccine for her family and everyone in the district. Pang becomes a sensation, prompting the Prime Minister to promise the district the first glass dome, though he still blames the people for the disaster. Mook and Pang are excited, with Pang thanking Mook for always being there, while Mook jokes about getting a statue for their efforts. As they play, Pang notices Mook's skin is red and patchy, but a scary cat bared its fangs to threaten them, then jumped into the water. That night, heavy rain floods Pang's house, leading to chaos as rats, insects, and the fish attack Mook and Pang's brother. After the flood subsides, the district gathers at a community center. Suddenly, government officials attempt to kidnap Pang, but Mook cries loudly and causes a scene. Prime Minister Tang arrives, reassures everyone, and hugs Mook, but accidentally reveals his chin tentacles when Mook pulls off his mask. It turns out the government hoarded the vaccine for themselves due to limited supply. Parliament is dissolved. Pang and Mook are honored with a statue, and eventually, the vaccine is distributed worldwide, and the district is rebuilt. Pang gives a presentation about the new world, where everyone now has chin tentacles. Suddenly, the rain stops, the sun comes out, and people celebrate. However, the sun quickly becomes unbearably hot, setting the earth on fire. Pang and Mook's statue melts as everything burns. As people die, Pang wonders why humanity destroyed the world. The scene ends with Pang and Mook looking directly at the camera.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.